Good morning and welcome to the amokblog31 video blog of the day. Hey, I wanted to welcome you guys, and I wanted to start off my message this way by saying hi. My name's Dave and I'm an artist. Yeah, I know, I say that kind of like the beginning of a 12-step program, and sometimes I do think there should be a 12-step program for artists. Now, I know what you might be thinking, and no, art is not a bad thing. Art is a very wonderful thing. But the problem with having a creative mind is sometimes we create things in our minds that aren't really there. Sometimes we create problems that don't really exist, and sometimes we think about these problems so much that we end up doing things that create even more problems. And so today, guys, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the things that the mind will do to you and the things that it will cause. Now, I've spoken to you a couple times about my wrestling with depression, and I just want to make something very clear. God will set you free from that. And I know that's hard to believe, but especially if you're in the middle of it right now. We're going to talk about some ways to get around it in just a second. But I want to start off by telling you a little bit about my story. One day when I was really in the peak of depression, I shouldn't say the peak because there are no peaks in depression. It's more like you're in a pit all the time. I was in my Sunday school class at my old church, and the teacher, who was a psychologist, said something that made me want to smack him. Really, literally, I was mad. He said that people who are depressed are self-centered. And when I heard that, I just wanted to go off. You don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what my problems are. You don't know any of this stuff. You don't know anything about me. Now, I want you to notice something about that. How many times did I say I or me in that sentence? In that series of sentences, I should say. Guys, he was right. And I hate to say that, and I know some of you going through it are going to want to smack me, but in some ways at least, he was right. Guys, one of the ways that I mess myself up the worst, and maybe you can relate to this too, is I can mess myself up and I can drive myself into a pretty deep pit if I focus on what I don't have. And I focus on what's not going right. Because if I focus on that long enough, nothing's going right. And if I focus on what I don't have long enough, I can't do anything because I don't have anything. Can you see how wrong that is? And yet, isn't that what we do to ourselves so much of the time? I think it happens especially to creative people because our minds are always thinking and they're always working and we're always thinking about the next big thing, and after a while we're focused on so many different things that we get frustrated and we get overwhelmed. So if you're in that place today, I want to say first of all that I care for you, and a lot of times I've been with you, and before long I may end up with you again. But there are some things that you can do to combat this. And the number one thing is pray. The number one thing is go to the God who loves you and cares about you and start talking to Him. Because if you talk to Him and if you focus on Him, one of the first things you're going to see is the God of the universe loves me enough to listen to my junk. The Creator of the universe knows you by name and cares about you. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and this is the thing beyond the prayer that really helped me the most, and that was helping somebody else. In my case, one of the things that was really on my heart was kids, because I love kids and because I was a messed up kid. And I really had a focus, a desire to help other kids so they didn't end up getting messed up the way I did for a while. And when I started focusing on them, their problems started to become more important than my problems. And it really turned my life around in a lot of ways. Another thing is very simple. Focus on what you have. Don't focus on what you've lost. Don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you have. There's that old hymn that says, count your many blessings, name them one by one. And it talks about how it's the Lord, that the Lord's done these great things in your life. And if you think about it, you do have some things. You might not have everything you want, but you have some things in your life that are great. Don't let depression, don't let your being upset take your mind off of that. Instead, focus on what you do have. There's a lot of ways that you can do these things. There's a verse in the Bible. The Apostle Paul wrote it from a Roman prison. He wrote this whole book from a Roman prison, which was a bad place to be. And the whole book, the book of Philippians, is about joy. He wrote this while he was in prison. Not for doing something evil, but for loving God and serving Him. And this is what he writes. He writes, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." What he's saying is change the way you're thinking. Change what you think about. When you start feeling like you're going into a pit, start counting your blessings. Start looking for somebody to help. Start looking for somebody to serve. Contact somebody. Pray. Do all those things. Now, I do want to say something. Sometimes depression and all that other stuff is clinical and it's medical and you need to see somebody. Don't write that off. I'm not saying here that you lack faith if you run through depression, because if I were saying that, I'd be condemning myself as well. But there are things that you can do. And there are people who care about you. You got to understand, a lot of this stuff comes up in your life because you are about to do something great. And there's a powerful enemy who wants to keep you from doing it. Don't let him. Don't give in to this stuff. Focus on the great stuff in life. Find something great and focus on it. Find somebody worse off than you and help them. Let God bring you out of this thing that you're going through. Because He will if you let Him. He loves you. And He cares about you. Guys, I hope you have a great week again. A great weekend again. Please excuse my appearance. I just got back from another run. And I just wanted to also share that, that's when God gives me some of my best stuff. So I want to share it with you. I hope you have a great weekend. And, if you're struggling or wrestling, get a hold of me and I'll see what I can do to help you out. At the very least, I'll pray for you. And actually, that's not the least, it's the most. Because that takes your problem to the God who loves you most. God bless.